This weekend, we got a brand new Spider-Man movie in theaters. It's absolutely killing it at the box office. So today, I'm going to rank the now 11 Spider-Man movies we have released. Now, originally I was going to include the Venomverse movie, so the Venom movies, Madam Web, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter. Upon further reflection, I didn't really want to. They're not good. They're all at the bottom, and it just would take away from the real Spider-Man ranking that you guys clicked on this video to watch. So, I'm not including them. I'm just including the Spider-Man movies, the ones with Spider-Man in the title. Before I dive in, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below. What is your ranking of all 11 Spider-Man movies? If you want to include the Venomverse movies, you can. But that's all up to you. And with that said, my number 11, my least favorite Spider-Man movie, and before I even tell you, I gotta say this list is full of hot takes, The Amazing Spider-Man. This one kind of sucks. I'm just gonna be completely honest, it sucks. It's really bad. There are some things I like about it. It's kind of the same with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I really do like the romance between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Their chemistry, the romance, is a highlight of this movie, and it is a highlight of the Spider-Man franchise as a whole. So I do enjoy all of those moments with Peter and Gwen. All of that rocks. The teenage stuff, I think, is done really well in this movie. That's not what I go to a Spider-Man movie for. I go to a Spider-Man movie for the Spider-Man stuff, and unfortunately, in this movie, the Spider-Man stuff just sucks. It is so boring, where we're doing the same thing that the Raimi's movies did, but just adding on a little bit of lore that nobody cares about. Nobody cares who Peter Parker's mom and dad were, and besides that, who cares that they're spies? That's not an interesting plot to dive into. And then, like, this plot with the lizard is just boring. There's a couple of solid looking sequences in here, but there's nothing to latch onto. There's nothing that makes me watch this movie and say, that one was entertaining. By the time we got to the third act, I was just ready for it to be over. I was just bored out of my mind. I did not like this movie whatsoever. It is my least favorite Spider-Man movie by far. My number 10, Raimi's Spider-Man 3. Now, honestly, I just don't remember much about this movie, and the things that I do remember are the bad parts of the movie. Now, I'm not going to lie, the Bully Maguire stuff is a classic, right? I mean, the dancing, the lines, the quotable lines, I quote this movie all the time. All that's fun, right? But then you get the boring, bad stuff, like Harry. You could have a very cool conclusion with that arc. Instead, you just give him amnesia. Bad idea. Just a really bad idea. Redoing the whole Uncle Ben thing. Really stupid to make it Sandman. Not everything needs to connect back to that. It doesn't make all that much sense. And the sequence isn't cool. And the inclusion of all these villains. There are so many villains in this movie. You get Sandman. You get Venom. You get the Green Goblin. And none of them are really all that fleshed out. And so there's not really much for me to, like, grasp onto in this movie. Like I said, I don't really remember much about it besides the bad things. I don't think that this one is very entertaining. It's clearly the weakest Raimi film. The weakest Raimi Spider-Man film. Not the weakest Raimi film as a whole. Although it's pretty low on my Raimi ranking. Number 9, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, I just want to be clear. The Amazing Spider-Man all the way down here. Amazing Spider-Man 3, or Spider-Man 3, is about right here. Just a little higher. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is probably about here. There are a lot of things that really work in this movie. There are also a lot of things that really don't work in this movie. Again, the same thing that this franchise, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, do so well is the romance between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. And this movie, it's done so much better than the first movie. And that's not like throwing the first movie down. That's like saying that it's really good. Their chemistry is phenomenal. I think the Spider-Man sequences in this movie do look really good, and there is some actually awesome action sequences in this movie. The villains aren't all that compelling, but Electro looks cool occasionally. Now, like, him just being a blue ball of energy isn't necessarily the coolest, but there is some cool action sequences in there with Spider-Man and Electro and Rhino. I think the Green Goblin, really bad. Really bad. But the thing that most people talk about when you talk about The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the death of Gwen Stacy. And it is done so well. It is so emotional. Makes me tear up every time. Even thinking about it, I get goosebumps of just how well directed that scene was. The web hand going down, trying to catch Gwen, and then the death. Just a perfect sequence. Just a perfect sequence. Unfortunately, the movie, like the Spider-Man stuff, again, just like The Amazing Spider-Man, isn't the most compelling. I know I said that there are cool action sequences in here, but the plot, the story, the overall villains' motivations, and the villains as a whole aren't the most compelling. I mean, I think Green Goblin in this movie is just absolutely abysmal. And, you know, trying to set up the Sinister Six, trying to set up all of these other things for Amazing Spider-Man 3. And there are things that I'd like to see in Amazing Spider-Man 3, like, you know, Peter going down this dark rabbit hole. But at the same time, I think No Way Home does end Andrew's character arc perfectly in a sense. So I don't think we really need Amazing Spider-Man 3, especially because these movies lack so hard at the Spider-Man stuff. Number 8. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's just rip the Band-Aid right off, shall we? It's Spider-Man 2. Yeah, Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Now, to be perfectly clear, I think all of the rest of these movies are really good. I'm just not the biggest fan of Raimi's trilogy. And I have said this, it's one of my biggest hot takes. I am just not the biggest fan of Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. There are things I love in this movie, obviously. I think Doc Ock is played perfectly by Alfred Molina. I think this is the best that Tobey Maguire is as Spider-Man in any one of his movies. Aunt May is really good and has some great scenes in here. The action is shot really well and has some great Raimi visuals, and the goofiness, the campiness is all up there, as well as like a really horrifying sequence. The surgery sequence is great. I think the villain motivation was really good. The thing that really drags Spider-Man 2 down for me is I just hate when a movie, for the most part, like there are some movies that get it right, but I just hate when a movie takes our hero and makes him powerless or just has him stop doing the superhero stuff for a little bit. It just mostly always drags. There are a few movies that can do that right, like Iron Man 3. This one's not really one of them, in my opinion. And by the time we enter the third act, I do think it's a little too long. Kind of wanes my interest every time I watch them. But I haven't seen Spider-Man 2 that many times. I've seen it 2 or 3 times. It took me like 4 or 5 watches for the first Spider-Man to actually really enjoy that. And you'll find out where that's placed on my ranking here before too long. But Spider-Man 2, I like it. It's good. I just don't think it's perfect like a lot of people do. Number 7, Spider-Man Far From Home. This is a really frustrating one because I think the first half of this movie is really boring and really dumb. Like, I don't care about Spider-Man fighting Hydro Man or the elemental creatures. It's really dumb. And the fact that Peter Parker, a kid who's been dead for 5 years, gets these glasses from Tony Stark, and then he decides to instantly just give them away. Just some bad decision-making, bad writing, makes no sense. And if the rest of the movie is like the first half, this would just be one of the worst Spider-Man movies. Fortunately, it's not. The second half of this movie is a top 5, dare I say top 3 Spider-Man film. The action sequences are great. The illusion sequences with Mysterio, just a top-tier directing by John Watts and top-tier action sequence out of all of Spider-Man. And it has some really good emotional moments, as well as like the powerful moments of Spider-Man becoming more. Like the Peter Tingle scene or the Spider-Sense scene on the bridge. It's awesome. I think Jake Gyllenhaal might not have the most compelling motive, but it's Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio. So obviously he is a lot of fun. I think that there is a really good romance here between Peter and MJ, and a lot of people disagree with that, but I also think that this movie is able to nail the awkwardness of high school relationships. So I thought it did that really well. So the second half of this movie is awesome. It's a top-tier Spider-Man movie. Unfortunately, the first half is just boring. Number 6, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I have seen this movie now 3 times. Yes, it's right. Shortly after I was done filming my spoiler review, my best friend wanted to go out and watch this for his first time. So I saw it 3 times, and I gotta say, I think my third viewing of this movie was my favorite experience. No thanks to the lady right in front of me on Snapchat, the entire freaking movie, just on full brightness, by the way, just flashing me. I'm talking this close, and I was just getting flash, every 10 minutes. I almost lost it. I'm an easygoing person. I wanted to avoid conflict, especially because if I feel like I started something, I didn't want to ruin anybody else's experience who was enjoying the movie, have them start causing a fit. So I didn't say anything. Wish I would have. But I do think this movie does a lot of things really well. Destin Daniel Cretton is a perfect director for Spider-Man. Not only does his swinging sequences, his action sequences all look great. They look straight out of a comic book. They're able to put me inside Spider-Man and feel like I am Spider-Man doing these things. Every action sequence is done really well. The highlights being the Hulk sequence, the hand fight sequence, all of those are really awesome inside of this movie. There's a certain character here that, like, there's no spoilers here for this movie, but there's a certain character here that I don't think was utilized well at all. That it is the villain character that I still am like, I don't think that's what that character is supposed to be like. But the action's all great. The emotions. This movie has the best emotional sequences all of Spider-Man. Like, seriously, I cried 3 times each time I saw this movie. Destin Daniel Cretton understands Spider-Man, and it's a movie about no longer being alone, which is kind of the same themes that the Thunderbolts tackled, but this one also did those themes very well. I gotta say, the pacing is a little rough. The first half doesn't have as many action sequences as I would like it to, and there is some that you could cut out, but I think the Punisher is used really well in this movie, so every sequence with him and Peter is great. So this is a movie with flaws. This is a movie that I didn't absolutely love it like a lot of people are, but it is a movie that I did really, really enjoy, and honestly, if I saw it for a 4th time, I wouldn't complain. It is very watchable. Before I give you my top 5, if you would subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what is your ranking of all the Spider-Man movies. And with that said, number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, this is a movie that, just like Far From Home, I think the first half of this movie is very messy. The overall plot getting kicked into action by Peter Parker wanting Doctor Strange to have everybody forget and impact the world, but then just keeps messing up the spell, is just really ridiculous. It's awesome to see these villains back, and I think the bridge sequence with Doc Ock is awesome. The first Electro and Sandman sequence is pretty good. So there is some good action sequences in there, but the pacing is a little boring. The humor doesn't really work for me, and it's just like, oh, we're just doing nostalgia slop. But then you get that apartment sequence, man. Then you get that sequence, and all of a sudden this turns from not a very good movie to a top-tier Spider-Man movie with the emotions, with the death of Aunt May, which is just absolutely heartbreaking. Or just the fight sequence in general was pretty awesome. But then you get that, and then you get the other Spider-Men. Tobey, Andrew, Tom, they all have great chemistry, and I don't think that they're just there for nostalgia reasons. They legitimately have a point and a purpose in this movie, and that's what I loved about them, is that they have their own arcs, and they do work, and they help to expand Tom's Spider-Man's arc. That's what I loved, and so the third act is one of the best third acts in all of Marvel. Unfortunately for Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of the movie is really messy to hold it back from that top 3 Spider-Man movie spot. My number 4, Raimi's original Spider-Man. This took me 4 or 5 viewings to overall enjoy. I used to hate this movie, but last time I rewatched all the Spider-Man movies, and I've said this numerous times, the way this summer's working, I was not able to rewatch a lot of these movies, so I didn't rewatch it this time. But my last rewatch of this movie, I was like, this movie's actually really good. This movie's actually done really well, and it is just that classic origin story. It doesn't do a whole lot special. Peter gets bit by the spider. Uncle Ben dies because of him. So he decides to become the Amazing Spider-Man. And it's all done really well. I think the swinging sequences are all shot really well. The score is phenomenal. And it's held together by just a decent performance by Tobey Maguire. I am not the biggest Tobey Maguire Spider-Man fan in general, but I do think he's pretty good in this movie. But it's all held together by a phenomenal performance as Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, one of the best comic book movie villains of all time, and it's just got a really thrilling third act that really works. So it's just a classic comic book movie. It's rewatchable, and it does really work for me. Like I said, I used to hate it. I used to not like the campy themes of it. But I think for this movie, for this origin story, Raimi's campy themes do work for it. Kicking off the top 3. We're into the end game, guys. The top 3. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This movie's great. This is another one that I used to not like, and that's saying that after my first watch in the theater of Into the Spider-Verse, I left it not liking it. For one reason. That's because Peter Parker dies. Like, the Peter Parker of Miles' universe dies. And that just did not sit right with me. But many years later, and many viewings of this film later, I love it. I think it's awesome. It really shaped the way that animation looks in a lot of films nowadays. It's just beautifully animated with these sequences that look straight off a comic book page, with very compelling characters, whether it's Miles, Gwen, Peter B. Parker. They're all extremely compelling. The villain is really compelling as well as Kingpin, as he does have the basic, his wife and child die, but it's Kingpin, so it adds a little bit of humanity to him, and his design is cartoonish, is goofy, but it fits for this movie. And the action sequences all work. There's emotion, especially with the death of Peter Parker and Miles becoming Spider-Man. There's all that emotion in this movie. And so it's a generational animated Spider-Man movie that not a lot of people were actually looking forward to. I remember in 2018, people were hating on this movie before it came out. Then it came out, and it is amazing. My runner-up for my favorite Spider-Man movie is my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. Spider-Man Homecoming is my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie. And just like that, I probably lost 20 subscribers. But I don't care. I speak my truth here on my channel. Spider-Man Homecoming's awesome. I love Spider-Man Homecoming, man. This movie, like, I get the flaws. I get people complaining that Tony Stark's in this movie and he's not letting Spider-Man be Spider-Man. I feel for this version of Spider-Man, Tony Stark was kind of the motivation for Peter to become what he is. Because this is a very nicely crafted version of Peter Parker. He goes to high school, but all he wants to do is be Spider-Man. But his motivation to continue to do the right thing is getting his suit taken away and still becoming Spider-Man, still finding a way to do the right thing, his sacrifices. Now, you might not say that prom, oh, he goes to prom and he leaves prom. That's not a sacrifice. Trust me, for a high school boy, it's a sacrifice. And it works so well. Besides that, I just love the high school aspect. I think the set pieces in this movie are great. I don't get the hate with the way this movie looks. The Washington Monument sequence is one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man sequences of all time. Think it looks great. Think it's thrilling. It's exciting. The Vulture, Michael Keaton, very good villain, very good twist. I still remember the first time I watched this movie, that twist, the way me, my dad, my mom were just like, no way! Very well done twist. And so this is one that I've seen like 3 times within the last 6 months. It never gets old. I would watch it again right now. This is my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie. It really works. And, you know, I don't really get the hate. I don't get the hate for this movie. I think they're just hating to hate on it. I don't get it. But my number 1 favorite Spider-Man movie is Across the Spider-Verse. And, you know, it's only been out for 3 years. I'd still have it in my top 5 movies of all time. This is a movie that's awesome. From the first prologue of the movie with Gwen on her universe, I'm bawling my eyes out every time. The score, the visuals, the emotions, I absolutely love it, and it's done so well. And it's just, what a way to open up a movie, and then you can continue on into this world, all these different universes with all the Spider-Mans. You have a great character in Miguel. You get to see Gwen, you get to see Miles, you get to see Peter B. Parker, all back together. They all have great chemistry. This movie knocks it out of the park with the animation. Like, this movie looks better than Into the Spider-Verse, and that's already a movie that looks absolutely phenomenal. So you have the visuals that work, the characters that work, the action sequences all are just thrilling, edge-of-your-seat stuff. The score is really well done. But at its core, it's about Spider-Man. It's a love letter to Spider-Man. It's about what makes Spider-Man tick. And it all really works. And a lot of people complain that, oh, I can't fully love this movie because it ends off on a cliffhanger. What if the finale sucks? I disagree. I don't care if it ends off on a cliffhanger. I don't care. Because the cliffhanger is so thrilling, and it's got everybody all these years later, like the movie's going to release 4 years after this one came out, it's got everybody still invested. So it's a movie that just shaped animation. It's a milestone in filmmaking history, and it's my favorite Spider-Man movie. Thank you guys for clicking on my Spider-Man ranking. As always, tell me your ranking in the comment section below. And with that said, subscribe.